Welcome back to the channel The Coin Empire. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that has captured the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who wonder whether a simple coin in their pocket could change their lives forever. Imagine reaching into an old coin jar, opening a forgotten family collection, or receiving change at a grocery store, only to discover a seemingly ordinary 1966 Washington quarter that could be worth an astonishing fortune because of a rare mint error. While stories of coins selling for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars often circulate online, the truth is that only the rarest combinations of extraordinary minting errors, exceptional preservation, and historical significance can command truly extraordinary prices. That makes every unusual coin worth examining carefully, because some genuine mint errors have brought remarkable prices at auction. In today's video, we are exploring the legendary 1966 quarter, the types of mistakes that collectors search for, how these fascinating errors happen during the minting process, why certain examples become incredibly valuable, and what you should be looking for before spending or ignoring an old quarter that might deserve a closer inspection. The year 1966 was a unique period in American coin history. During the mid-1960s, the United States Mint was struggling to keep up with an enormous demand for coins. Coin shortages were affecting commerce across the country, and the Mint increased production dramatically. To discourage collectors from hoarding freshly minted coins, mint marks were temporarily removed from circulating coins between 1965 and 1967. That means every genuine 1966 Washington quarter was struck without a mint mark regardless of where it was produced. Because of this unusual historical situation, collectors pay close attention to any 1966 quarter that appears different from the norm. The first thing experienced collectors examine is the overall condition of the coin. Most 1966 quarters circulated heavily for decades, collecting scratches, worn details, dull surfaces, and countless tiny marks from everyday use. A coin preserved in nearly perfect condition is already much more desirable than a heavily circulated example. If such a coin also displays an authentic mint error, its desirability increases dramatically because collectors appreciate the combination of rarity and outstanding preservation. One of the most famous mint errors involves the double die. This happens during the creation of the die itself rather than during the striking of the coin. When the design is transferred onto the die more than once and the impressions do not align perfectly, the finished die produces coins with noticeable doubling in certain areas. Collectors inspect the date, the word Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and fine details of George Washington's portrait for signs of genuine doubling. Strong double die examples can attract tremendous interest because they are produced before the coins are even struck, making every coin struck from that die share the same distinctive characteristics. Another exciting possibility is the off-center strike. During normal production, the blank planchet must be positioned perfectly between the dies before the strike occurs. If it shifts out of alignment, part of the design may be missing while the remaining portion appears fully struck. The degree of the off-center strike greatly affects value. Slight off-center examples are interesting, but dramatic off-center strikes that still show the complete date often command significantly higher prices because they are both visually striking and much scarcer. Collectors also search for broad strikes, which occur when the retaining collar that normally surrounds the planchet fails to function properly. Without the collar, the metal spreads farther outward during the strike, creating a coin with a wider appearance and missing or incomplete reeded edges. These unusual coins immediately stand out because their dimensions differ from ordinary quarters. Another fascinating error is the clipped planchet. Before coins are struck, blank discs are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally the punching process overlaps the edge of a previously punched blank, leaving a curved section missing from the next blank. When that incomplete blank is struck, the missing portion remains, creating one of the easiest mint errors to recognize. Genuine clipped planchets often display a characteristic weakness opposite the missing area known as the Blakesley effect, which specialists use to help authenticate the error. Collectors are also fascinated by die cracks. Over time, tremendous striking pressure causes dies to develop tiny fractures. Molten-like lines of raised metal appear on coins struck after the crack develops because metal flows into the damaged section of the die. Small die cracks are common on many coin series, but unusually large or dramatic cracks can become highly collectible. If the crack grows substantially, it may create what collectors call a retained cud or a full cud, where part of the die breaks away completely and leaves a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. Such dramatic errors are considerably scarcer and often receive strong attention in the marketplace. Die breaks are another category that excites specialists because they document the gradual failure of a working die under enormous production pressures. Every stage of the die's deterioration tells part of the story of the coin's creation. Another possibility is a struck-through error. During the minting process, a small piece of grease, cloth fiber, wire, or other foreign material may become trapped between the die and the planchet. When the strike occurs, the obstruction prevents the design from fully transferring onto that section of the coin. Depending on what caused the obstruction, the resulting appearance can range from subtle missing details to dramatic impressions that make the coin completely unique. Since every struck-through error is different, collectors often appreciate them for their individuality. Some collectors hope to discover a double strike. This occurs when a coin fails to eject properly after receiving its first strike and is struck again. The second strike may be perfectly aligned or dramatically shifted, producing overlapping images that are immediately recognizable. Large shifts between strikes are especially dramatic because parts of the design appear in two different locations. Genuine double strikes are among the most visually impressive mint errors ever produced. Another remarkable possibility is a rotated die error. Normally the front and back designs align in a fixed orientation. If one die rotates out of position, the reverse design appears turned when the coin is flipped. Significant rotations are uncommon and become more desirable as the degree of rotation increases. Lamination errors also attract considerable attention. During the preparation of the metal strip, impurities or internal defects may develop. When the coin is struck, thin layers of metal may peel, crack, or lift from the surface. These flaws reveal problems within the metal itself rather than damage occurring after the coin entered circulation. Collectors distinguish genuine laminations from ordinary scratches by carefully studying the shape, texture, and location of the defect. Another intriguing possibility involves die polishing. Mint employees sometimes polish dies to extend their useful life, accidentally removing small portions of the design. Coins struck afterward may display missing details or unusual lines caused by excessive polishing. While not every polished die creates a valuable variety, dramatic examples can become popular among specialists who enjoy studying die states. Die chips provide another interesting collecting opportunity. Tiny fragments breaking away from letters, numbers, or other design elements create raised blobs on the struck coin. Although many die chips are relatively minor, unusual placements or especially large chips often become recognized varieties that collectors seek. The 1966 quarter is also closely associated with transitional discussions because it belongs to the era immediately following the major change from 90% silver quarters to copper-nickel clad quarters. Although regular 1966 quarters were struck on clad planchets, collectors always remain alert for the remote possibility of wrong planchet errors, where a coin is accidentally struck on metal intended for another denomination or another composition. Such mistakes are exceptionally rare and require professional authentication because they can command substantial premiums if genuine. Weight becomes one of the first clues. Collectors often use accurate digital scales capable of measuring hundredths of a gram to identify coins whose weight differs from normal specifications. Another category involves wrong planchet strikes, where a quarter design appears on a blank intended for another denomination. Such coins often have unusual color, weight, thickness, or diameter. Because these errors originate during production rather than afterward, professional grading services carefully examine every detail before certifying authenticity. Authentication is extremely important because many damaged coins resemble mint errors to inexperienced collectors. Environmental damage, heat exposure, corrosion, tool marks, and mechanical alterations can imitate genuine mint mistakes. Experienced Next 1971 $quarter coin. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people searching through their pocket change. Imagine discovering an ordinary-looking 1971 Washington quarter that could potentially be worth an incredible fortune because of a rare minting error or an extraordinary production mistake. It sounds unbelievable, but rare coins have sold for astonishing amounts, and unique mint errors continue to excite collectors around the world. While claims that a 1971 quarter is worth $125 million are not supported by verified auction records, there are certain extremely rare combinations of mint errors, exceptional preservation, and historical significance that can make some coins worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and stories like these inspire millions of people to check every coin they own. The 1971 quarter was produced by the United States Mint after the transition from silver quarters to the copper-nickel clad composition that began in 1965. Most 1971 quarters are very common and are only worth face value if they have circulated, but a tiny number escaped the mint with unusual characteristics that have fascinated collectors for decades. Every coin begins its life as a blank metal planchet that is carefully prepared before passing through powerful presses where dies strike the design onto both sides. During every stage of this complicated manufacturing process, something unexpected can happen. A die may crack, a planchet may be defective, the collar may malfunction, or the coin may receive more than one strike. These mistakes are what collectors call mint errors, and depending on their rarity and appearance, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. One of the most exciting errors is the double die, where parts of the design appear doubled because of a problem during die creation rather than during the strike itself. When strong doubling appears on important features such as the date, lettering, or portrait, collectors pay close attention because genuine double dies are highly desirable. Another valuable possibility is an off-center strike. Instead of being perfectly aligned between the dies, the planchet shifts during striking, leaving part of the design missing while exposing a blank crescent of metal. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still showing the complete date, the more desirable the coin usually becomes. Collectors often compete for spectacular examples because every off-center error is unique. Another fascinating mistake is a broad strike error. Normally a collar surrounds the planchet during striking, giving the coin its proper diameter and reeded edge. If the collar fails, the coin spreads outward under tremendous pressure, becoming wider than normal with missing or weak edge reeds. These unusual coins immediately stand out from ordinary quarters and are prized by error specialists. Die cracks are another common but collectible feature. As mint dies strike thousands upon thousands of coins, tiny fractures eventually develop. These cracks appear as raised lines on the finished coin because the metal flows into the damaged sections of the die. While small die cracks are relatively common, massive die breaks known as cuds can create dramatic raised blobs of metal that significantly change the appearance of the coin. Such large die failures are eagerly collected because they reveal the physical deterioration of the die itself. Die clashes are equally interesting. When the press operates without a planchet between the dies, the two dies smash into each other, transferring portions of each design onto the opposite die. Later coins struck by those damaged dies can display faint outlines of features that should never appear on that side of the coin. These mysterious marks often puzzle beginners but excite experienced collectors who recognize them as evidence of an unusual minting accident. Multiple strikes create another category of spectacular errors. If a coin fails to eject properly and receives additional strikes, overlapping images can appear across the surface. Some examples display rotated designs while others show dramatic distortion, making every multiple-struck coin a one-of-a-kind collectible. A rotated die error is another possibility that attracts attention. Normally the front and back of a United States coin have a fixed alignment. If one die rotates out of position, the reverse image will appear at an unusual angle when the coin is flipped. Minor rotations are generally less valuable, but significant rotations are much scarcer and more desirable. Missing clad layer errors can also occur on clad coins like the 1971 quarter. Because these quarters consist of a copper core sandwiched between nickel layers, occasionally one outer layer is absent due to a manufacturing defect. Such coins weigh less than normal and reveal an unusual copper appearance on one side, creating an instantly recognizable error. Wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic mint mistakes imaginable. In rare cases, a quarter design is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even another country's coinage. The resulting coin may have an unusual size, color, or weight, immediately separating it from ordinary quarters. Authentication is especially important for these extraordinary pieces because genuine wrong planchet errors are extremely rare. Strike-through errors happen when grease, cloth, wire, metal fragments, or other foreign material comes between the die and the planchet during striking. The obstruction prevents part of the design from forming correctly, leaving unusual impressions or missing details that create a distinctive appearance. Depending on the material involved and the size of the affected area, these errors can become highly collectible. Collectors also search for clipped planchets where a blank was punched too close to the edge of the metal strip before striking, leaving a curved section missing from the finished coin. Genuine clips display specific characteristics such as the Blakesley effect, helping experts distinguish authentic mint errors from post-mint damage. Lamination errors are another possibility. During metal preparation, impurities or bonding problems may develop within the planchet. As the coin is struck or circulates over time, thin layers of metal may peel or flake away, producing unusual textures that originated during manufacturing rather than from later abuse. Although many people dream of finding a quarter worth millions, condition plays an equally important role in determining value. A perfectly preserved coin with blazing mint luster, sharp details, and virtually no contact marks can command dramatically higher prices than an identical coin that spent years in circulation. Professional grading services carefully examine coins under magnification and assign numerical grades that greatly influence market value. The difference between a coin graded mint state 65 and one graded mint state 68 can represent thousands of dollars in some cases because the highest quality examples are extraordinarily difficult to find. Luster is another feature collectors admire. Freshly struck coins display a distinctive cartwheel effect as light reflects across their surfaces. Preserving this original brilliance without scratches, fingerprints, or cleaning marks significantly improves desirability. Cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make because harsh polishing permanently damages the original surface, often reducing value rather than increasing it. Patience is one of the greatest tools in coin collecting. Instead of assuming every unusual mark is a valuable mint error, collectors learn to distinguish genuine production mistakes from ordinary damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Scratches, dents, corrosion, grinding, and environmental damage can sometimes resemble mint errors but usually have little collector value. Education and careful examination are essential before assuming a coin is rare. Magnification, proper lighting, accurate scales, and reference books help collectors identify legitimate varieties and errors. Many enthusiasts enjoy searching bank rolls, inherited collections, estate sales, flea markets, and pocket change because remarkable discoveries still happen. Every year people unknowingly spend collectible coins that eventually find their way into circulation again, giving determined searchers another opportunity to uncover hidden treasures. The excitement comes from never knowing what the next handful of coins might reveal. Stories about extraordinarily valuable coins spread rapidly across social media and the internet, inspiring millions of people to inspect every quarter they own. While sensational price claims often exaggerate reality, genuine rare coins have achieved remarkable auction results when they combine rarity, strong demand, historical importance, and exceptional condition. That combination is what truly drives value in the numismatic market rather than age alone. A common misconception is that every old coin is valuable. In reality, rarity, demand, authenticity, originality, eye appeal, and condition all work together to determine a coin's market price. Millions of 1971 quarters were produced, making ordinary examples plentiful, but unusual mint errors and exceptional survivors continue to attract collector interest decades later. If you believe you have discovered a remarkable 1971 quarter, next 1990 quarter-dollar coin. Today we are exploring one of the most talked about modern United States quarters ever discussed by coin collectors and treasure hunters. Imagine reaching into your pocket, finding an ordinary-looking 1990 Washington quarter, and wondering if it could secretly be worth a life-changing fortune because of an extraordinary mint error or a rare production mistake. Stories claiming that a 1990 quarter is worth $120 million have spread widely across the internet, creating excitement among collectors and inspiring millions of people to search through old coin jars, bank rolls, and spare change. Although there is no verified auction record proving that a 1990 quarter has sold for $120 million, there are genuine mint errors and extremely rare varieties that can make certain coins worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on rarity, condition, and collector demand. That possibility alone is enough to make every collector examine their quarters more carefully because the next rare discovery could be hiding in plain sight. The 1990 quarter was produced at the Denver Mint as part of the long-running Washington Quarter series. These coins were struck using a copper core bonded between two outer layers of copper-nickel alloy, giving them their familiar silver appearance. Hundreds of millions of quarters were produced during the year, making ordinary examples very common, but whenever a complicated manufacturing process is repeated millions of times, unusual mistakes occasionally occur. Those mistakes are what make error collecting one of the most exciting areas of numismatics. Every coin begins as a blank metal disc called a planchet. Before the coin receives its design, the planchet must be manufactured to exact specifications regarding weight, thickness, diameter, and composition. After inspection, it moves into high-speed presses where hardened steel dies strike the design onto both sides with tremendous pressure. During any step of this process, mechanical failures, damaged equipment, worn dies, defective planchets, or simple accidents can produce unusual coins that immediately attract the attention of collectors. One of the most famous categories of mint errors is the doubled die. Unlike ordinary doubling caused by movement during striking, a genuine doubled die originates during the creation of the die itself. If the design is impressed into the die more than once with slight misalignment, every coin struck from that die will display noticeable doubling in specific areas. Collectors carefully inspect the date, the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and other design elements looking for strong separation that confirms a true doubled die. These varieties are often among the most desirable because the error is permanently built into the die itself. Another exciting possibility is an off-center strike. Normally the blank planchet sits perfectly centered between the dies before being struck. Occasionally the planchet shifts out of position, causing only part of the design to appear on the coin while leaving an unstruck blank area along one side. The amount of offset determines much of the value. Slightly off-center coins may command modest premiums, while dramatic examples showing half or more of the design missing but retaining the full date can become highly desirable collector pieces. Every off-center strike is unique because no two misalignments occur exactly the same way. Broad strike errors represent another fascinating category. During normal production, a collar surrounds the planchet to control the final diameter and produce the familiar reeded edge. If the collar fails to engage properly, the metal expands beyond its intended dimensions under striking pressure. The resulting coin appears wider than normal and often lacks the complete reed pattern around the edge. Because broad strikes clearly demonstrate a failure in the minting process, collectors appreciate them as educational examples of how coins are manufactured. Die cracks provide another opportunity for valuable discoveries. Every die eventually develops stress fractures after striking countless coins. As these cracks grow larger, molten-looking raised lines appear on coins because metal flows into the damaged portions of the die during striking. Minor cracks are relatively common, but larger cracks that evolve into dramatic die breaks or cuts can command significant premiums because of their unusual appearance and rarity. Cuts occur when a piece of the die actually breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on every subsequent coin struck until the die is removed from service. die clashes create another remarkable error variety. Occasionally the coin press cycles without a planchet between the dies, allowing the dies to collide directly. This collision transfers faint elements of one design onto the opposite die. Later coins struck from these damaged dies display mysterious outlines or ghost-like impressions where no design should exist. Experienced collectors enjoy identifying clash marks because they reveal hidden evidence of the mint's manufacturing process. Another dramatic error involves multiple strikes. Sometimes a coin fails to eject correctly after the first strike and remains inside the coining chamber. When the press cycles again, the coin receives another strike, creating overlapping or rotated designs. Depending on how the coin moved between strikes, the final appearance can range from slightly distorted lettering to spectacular overlapping portraits and legends. Multiple struck coins are highly prized because each one represents a unique sequence of mechanical events that can never be duplicated exactly. Rotated die errors are another possibility collectors check carefully. United States coins normally have metal alignment, meaning that when the coin is flipped vertically, the reverse appears correctly oriented. If one die rotates out of position during production, the reverse design appears at an unusual angle. Small rotations may not attract much attention, but dramatic rotations are uncommon and can command substantial collector interest. Missing clad layer errors are especially interesting on modern quarters. Since the 1990D quarter uses a copper core covered by nickel alloy layers, manufacturing defects occasionally result in one outer layer being absent. These coins usually appear partly copper-colored on one side and weigh less than standard quarters. Their unusual appearance makes them easy to recognize, and certified examples often bring impressive premiums. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes imaginable. In these cases, a quarter design is struck onto a blank intended for another denomination or another coin entirely. Such coins often differ noticeably in weight, diameter, thickness, or color. Because wrong planchet errors are so unusual, they require professional authentication before entering the collector market. Genuine examples can be worth remarkable amounts because they combine rarity with undeniable visual appeal. Strike-through errors occur when foreign material becomes trapped between the die and the planchet during striking. Grease, cloth fibers, metal shavings, wire fragments, or other debris prevent portions of the design from forming properly, leaving unusual impressions or missing details. Collectors find these errors fascinating because they provide direct evidence of accidental contamination during the minting process. Another collectible mistake is the clipped planchet. Before striking, round blanks are punched from long strips of metal. Occasionally the punch overlaps the edge of the strip or another previously punched hole, leaving a curved section missing from the blank. When struck, the finished coin retains this missing portion while displaying characteristics that confirm it originated at the mint rather than through later damage. Lamination errors are another possibility. Imperfections in the metal bonding process may cause thin layers of metal to separate from the surface before or after striking. These peeling sections create unusual textures that collectors recognize as genuine mint defects rather than ordinary wear. While discussing valuable coins, it is important to remember that not every unusual mark represents a mint error. Damage caused after the coin enters circulation often mimics genuine mint mistakes. Scratches, dents, corrosion, grinding, hammer marks, heat damage, and environmental exposure can create strange appearances that inexperienced collectors mistake for valuable errors. Learning to distinguish true mint errors from post-mint damage is one of the most valuable skills a collector can develop. Condition is another major factor affecting value. Even a rare error may lose much of its worth if heavily worn or damaged. Collectors pay premium prices for coins that retain sharp details, original mint luster, and clean surfaces. Professional grading services evaluate coins using strict numerical grading standards, and even a small difference in grade can significantly affect market value. A mint state coin with brilliant original surfaces often commands far higher prices than a circulated example of the same variety. Original luster remains one of the most attractive features of an uncirculated coin. As light moves across the surface, fresh mint luster creates the famous cartwheel effect admired by collectors. Cleaning a coin destroys this natural finish and often leaves microscopic scratches that permanently last. 1996p $quarter coin. Today's story is one that has captured the imagination of collectors everywhere. Today we are talking about the 1996p Washington quarter, a coin that has inspired countless rumors, exciting discoveries, and discussions about extraordinary mint errors. Some online claims suggest that a 1996p quarter could be worth as much as $115 million, but it is important to understand that no verified public sale has ever confirmed a 1996p quarter selling for that amount. However, exceptionally rare mint errors, unique striking mistakes, and one-of-a-kind production anomalies can make certain coins worth astonishing amounts to the right collector. The real excitement comes from knowing exactly what to look for, because a seemingly ordinary quarter in your pocket could contain unusual characteristics that dramatically increase its value. The 1996p Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and millions of examples entered circulation. Most are worth only 25 cents, but collectors know that minting mistakes can transform an everyday coin into an extraordinary collectible. During the minting process, thousands of planchets move rapidly through powerful presses every hour, and although quality control is extremely high, mistakes occasionally happen. These mistakes create coins unlike any others, and rarity combined with collector demand is what drives values upward. One possibility that excites collectors is a dramatic off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin is not perfectly positioned between the dies before being struck. The result is a design that appears shifted, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. Small off-center strikes usually carry modest premiums, but large, dramatic examples with a visible date can become highly desirable because they clearly display the minting error while still allowing collectors to identify the coin. Another valuable possibility is a double strike. If a coin fails to eject properly after the first strike and is struck again, the design may appear duplicated or shifted. Depending on the alignment, the second strike can create spectacular overlapping images that immediately capture the attention of collectors. Such coins are much rarer than ordinary quarters and can command impressive prices. Broad strike errors are another fascinating category. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the coin during striking, giving it its proper shape and reeded edge. If the collar fails to engage correctly, the coin spreads outward during the strike, creating a larger diameter with distorted edges. These unusual pieces stand out instantly when compared with a normal quarter. Collectors also search for clipped planchets, which occur before striking when the blank is improperly punched from the metal strip. A genuine clipped planchet removes part of the coin before it is struck, leaving a curved missing section while still displaying the design on the remaining surface. This error is different from post-mint damage because it originates during the manufacturing process. Die cracks are another interesting feature. Over time, minting dies develop stress fractures from repeated use. When the cracked die strikes a coin, raised lines appear on the surface. Small die cracks are common, but extensive cracks, retained cuds, or major die breaks can significantly increase collector interest. A cud error occurs when a portion of the die actually breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on the struck coin where the missing die section failed to impress the design. Die clashes are equally fascinating. These happen when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them. The dies transfer portions of their designs onto each other, and later coins display faint mirrored design elements in unexpected places. Although subtle, dramatic die clashes are eagerly studied by error specialists. Collectors also inspect quarters for doubled dies. Unlike machine doubling, which generally adds little value, a true doubled die originates during die creation and produces distinct doubled lettering, numbers, or design elements. Careful examination with magnification can reveal separation lines that distinguish genuine doubled dies from ordinary strike imperfections. Repunched mint marks are not found on modern Philadelphia quarters because the P mint mark was incorporated into the die differently during this era, but collectors still examine every detail for unusual punch anomalies and die preparation errors. Missing clad layer errors are among the most dramatic possibilities for modern quarters. Since Washington quarters are struck on copper-nickel clad planchets, a missing outer layer can expose the copper core, changing both the appearance and weight of the coin. These errors are highly collectible when authenticated. Wrong planchet errors create even greater excitement. Imagine a 1996 P quarter struck on a dime planchet, nickel planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. Such mistakes occur when an incorrect blank accidentally enters the production line. The resulting coin may have an unusual size, weight, and incomplete design because the dies were intended for a different planchet. These spectacular mint errors are among the most desirable in modern coin collecting. Strike-through errors occur when grease, cloth fibers, metal fragments, or other debris come between the die and the planchet. Portions of the design may appear weak, missing, or distorted, creating unique patterns that cannot be duplicated. While minor grease-filled die errors are relatively common, dramatic strike-throughs involving foreign material are much scarcer. Collectors also inspect coins for rotated dies, where the reverse design is not properly aligned with the obverse. Although slight rotation may occur within tolerance, significant rotation creates a fascinating error that immediately attracts attention. Lamination errors originate from defects within the metal itself. Layers of metal may peel or separate before or after striking, producing unusual flakes or splits across the surface. These natural manufacturing flaws are different from environmental damage and can be very collectible when severe. Coins struck through capped dies represent another extraordinary possibility. If a previously struck coin becomes stuck on the die, it can act like a cap and continue striking additional planchets. This creates progressively distorted coins with unusual softness, expansion, and missing details that collectors find fascinating. The condition of a coin also plays a critical role in determining value. A common quarter in worn condition may never be worth more than face value, but the same date with a spectacular mint error preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition could attract strong bidding. Professional grading services evaluate coins for authenticity, preservation, strike quality, surface marks, and overall eye appeal, providing confidence for buyers and sellers alike. Even so, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Stories of quarters worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars often spread rapidly across social media, but collectors should always verify such claims through reputable auction records and professional authentication. The excitement should come from the genuine possibility of discovering a legitimate mint error rather than expecting every unusual-looking coin to be worth a fortune. Sometimes what appears to be a valuable error is actually damage caused after the coin left the mint. Scratches, grinding, hammer marks, chemical exposure, heat damage, and alterations can resemble mint errors to inexperienced collectors. Learning the difference between authentic production mistakes and post-mint damage is one of the most valuable skills a collector can develop. Examining your change carefully under good lighting with a magnifying glass can reveal tiny details invisible to the naked eye. Looking at the lettering, date, mint mark, rim, edge, and both sides of the coin may uncover unusual features worth investigating further. Keeping potentially valuable finds in protective holders helps preserve their condition until they can be evaluated by experts. Coin collecting is more than searching for valuable errors. Every coin represents a small piece of history, connecting us to the people, technology, and events of its era. The 1996 P. Washington quarter reminds collectors that even modern circulating coins can hold surprises waiting to be discovered. Whether the value is a few dollars, hundreds, thousands, or in extremely rare circumstances much more, the thrill lies in the search itself. Every handful of change offers another opportunity to discover an overlooked treasure. That possibility continues to inspire collectors around the world to inspect every coin they receive. So before you spend your next 1996 P quarter, take a closer look because the smallest detail could reveal an authentic mint error that transforms an ordinary 25-cent coin into an extraordinary collectible with a story that collectors will remember for generations.